And we're live here on Smarter San Diego with Steve Ploetz in the house. Century 21. Is it award?
It is award.
It is award. Ah.
It used to be Century 21 Shambles, but they changed it. They thought that award sounded better.
Then Shambles?
Yeah, than Century 21 Shambles. I kid.
It used to be called Century 21 Losers, and they changed it to Century 21.
And they were like, you know what? If for some reason we're not getting the market share with the franchise name, I don't know what it
the
is.
branding isn't working. Let's say award.
Award.
Yes, okay, great. So, Steve, I think we almost agreed last time you were on the show about buyers having an opportunity in this market.
Absolutely.
And there being, actually a chance. And I do want to talk a little Vista specific today.
Oh, I like it.
Your backyard.
Let me sit up a little bit.
Look out. So, where you live, where your parents live.
That's right.
You sell a lot of real estate in Vista as well. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things going on there. So I do want to kind of work our way to that.
Okay.
Because I think there's some unique things and really cool things happening in Vista. But let's make a deal. This is let's make a deal. So every buyer wants a deal.
Absolutely.
Sellers hate the word. They can't stand it. They don't want someone to get a deal on their home.
Right.
However, there is this strange, unable to see, mirage-like prism situation where if you go just the slightest bit too greedy on the sales side, you end up having to give someone a deal in order to sell your home.
Yeah, the expression goes, a hard head makes for a soft ass. I think that's...
Well, no one's ever said that. You just made that up.
I think that what we're seeing that's interesting, my opinion, with our market currently, either you're going to sell your house in the first week or it's going to take 90 days. And that interesting balance within the market is hard for a lot of sellers to get their head around because, as we've talked about, in the last several years, a seller that was overpriced based on market value was still able to eventually sell their house at a good price. And I think that what we're experiencing today is that the market is quiet and like my voice. And that we're experiencing these longer market times. And so if a seller is, to your point, greedy, they end up sitting.
Now are those sellers where we're seeing the 90-day market times, days on market, are they ending up selling for lower, or is it just one of those things where, hey, there just aren't as many buyers to go around, so you need to be more patient, but you're still going to get your price if you can wait it out?
The short answer is it depends. It depends on the market. It depends on, as we've talked about, in general, I would say no. Sellers aren't getting their price. Okay.
Because usually within 90 days, you're going to experience a price reduction in there.
Absolutely.
Usually.
Yeah.
And maybe multiple. The thing that I cannot believe is when I see a price reduction on a property that's been on the market for like 20 days. Like, what in the blue beep, 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 beep is going on?
Right.
Does that ever make sense? Am I out of my mind to think that you should at least have 6 weeks market time?
Well, it depends on activity. It's a common question that I get from sellers is, what's the time frame? How long do we go until we make adjustments, improvements, change up the marketing? To me, the number one piece is feedback. If in 20 days you have no showings, that's valuable information. If in 20 days you have 20 showings and no offers, that's also valuable feedback. And you can discover, why aren't we moving? So I guess the short answer is I'm not opposed to the idea of changing the price after 20 days if maybe you started out terribly wrong. I've had situations where I've told sellers, I'm sorry, I thought we were right. The market has spoken to us. In 20 days, that's 3 weeks. The market is speaking. We can listen, or we can try to do the same activity and pray for a different result. So
you're saying if you have like no interest, if you're saying like
no interest,
no showings,
people come through and you've had 5 showings and 5 of them say you're way overpriced, then I think it's better to correct sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Versus stay on the market for 45 days just to stay on the market, just so it doesn't look like. And the other side of the coin is you don't want to look desperate. Buyers, if you come on the market and 5 days later you're reducing the price, buyers potentially smell blood in the water and go, maybe they really need out.
Or yeah, maybe they're more motivated.
Maybe they're more motivated than a traditional seller. Maybe this is the comp bomb that Derrick Evans is talking about, and I can come in $100,000 below the asking price. So all the more reason, price it appropriately, price it correctly. If you price it 3% under market value, you will get the activity that'll probably bid it to the correct value. But if you price it 3% over value, sometimes what you're getting is crickets. At $600,000, that's $18,000 either way. So what I'm saying is, if you price it at $582 versus $618, the number of buyers that are out there at different price points is significant.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, hopefully, I guess the assumption I'm making is that you're not mispricing it so badly right off the gates. But I do also understand that, unfortunately, a lot of the sellers are driving that.
Absolutely. And most sellers, I would say, other than the people that are listening to these kinds of programs or in touch with the news, which I've discovered is far less than actually of people that I thought, there are still sellers that are out there that think this is a seller's market, it's to the roof. And there's also agents that are out there that are promising sellers, hey, the real value is $582, let's price it at $650. I think I can get you that. Because they feel like they would rather, as a term that we use, they'd rather buy the listing and then beat up the seller about price reductions. Hey, I was wrong, come down. Hey, I was wrong, come down. And eventually that seller's motivation is going to show, versus the seller going, you know, this guy, I trust him, but he was telling me $50,000 less than that guy. That's a year's salary for me. So I'll take the higher price, and then I want to at least test it. So exactly to your point, sellers are dictating that a lot, and what they're finding out quickly is, oh, there's nobody coming to see my house.
It's the worst thing you can do is overprice the home. Worst thing you can do.
Absolutely.
You can't underprice. It cannot hurt you to underprice, in my opinion.
So I have a client that has written an offer on a property that is about $200,000 underpriced. They were listed too high, in my opinion. And then what the agent said was, hey, let's throw all the ideas out the window. Here's what we're going to do. So they did a price reduction from $750. You ready?
This is a great story. This might be the best story you've ever told, Steve, right now. I'm just the amount of energy that's going into this price reduction story.
$750. I'm representing a buyer.
You want me to guess? Should we play Let's Make a Deal?
Yeah, let's play Let's Make a Deal.
So they price reduced huge, right? That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Huge price reduction. So $750 was the original listing price.
Which was high.
Which was high. Okay. And they price reduced, I'm going to say $100,000.
That's a pretty good guess. They price reduced to $499. They price reduced $251,000. And here's their thought process. The market will dictate where. Genius idea, by the way.
I think so.
It's kind of like, let's just go $10.
Yeah. $1.
$1, Bob. Today is sponsored by game shows.
Game shows. I know. So the price reduced to $499, and you wrote an offer. We
wrote an offer at $650. I mean, essentially $637 with VA clients, and lo and behold, 25 offers. Because everybody goes, $499? That's a great house.
Where was the property?
San Marcos.
Okay. What kind of property is it?
Detached? Single family detached, yes.
4-bedroom?
Yes. I mean, it's a good-sized property. It's like 2,600 square feet, newer. I put the value, I told my clients, I thought, the value would be in the 650s.
Okay.
Probably right around there. And that they were at 750, so they were way off.
So they got 25 offers.
25 offers.
Are you in a bidding war?
We are in a bidding war.
Okay.
Highest and best. We're VA. They've said they don't care about VA or different types of loans. They just care about dollar amount. So I guess what I'm getting at is $499. It's not like everybody said, ooh, the new price is $499. Let's write it at $499 and we'll get the house. We bid, and I hate to break it to my clients on Facebook Live, I don't think we're going to get the house. Hopefully. I'm still plugging for it. But the market corrects itself. The market regulates and goes, hey, hey, the real value is up here.
But isn't it interesting that it's necessary to do it that way, and that the market wouldn't just come in and people just write their offers for whatever, you know what I mean?
So
like, people won't come in, and we're going to come in and just write the offer for 637 when it was listed for 750. You waited until the seller said, hey,
that's a great point.
We are now open for business. We're accepting offers as low as $499. But 25 people weren't going to write offers $100,000 less because there's some sort of, I don't know if it's like some sort of shame or some sort of professional uncourtesy, or why people are afraid to go and write offers on properties.
I'll give you my opinion.
Okay.
Here's my opinion. This is what I tell a seller. If we're listed at $750 and the real value is $650, and we get an offer at $650, first of all, that's terrible pricing, in my opinion.
Obviously.
But what most sellers want to do is they say, hey, how about instead of us taking $650, why don't we reduce to $700? And let's see if we can get an offer that's more in that range. So my recommendation to many sellers, and I know a lot of realtors do this, if we're pretty far apart from where the client is and where the buyer is and the seller, when we send our counteroffer, we also reduce the price to that amount. So that then I can say, look, here's the great idea. It's genius. It's a Steve Ploetz idea.
Wow.
750, 650, we're going to counter at 700. Let's reduce the price to 700. That way, Mr. Seller, it'll give you some time to see, are there $700,000 buyers out there? If not, it's going to take the buyer a day or two to respond to us anyways. If the buyer holds firm at 650, then we take a day or two in order to think about it. And now you've had 4 days at the new price. And if nobody is responding, then exactly to your point of this 20-day deal, the market is speaking. It's your decision if you want to listen, but the market is speaking.
Do you think it would be better if we, when we list a home for sale, because it's always a disadvantage. The seller is always in a disadvantage. I don't care what kind of the market is, other than the market when it's just absolutely blazing on fire and you're getting bazillion offers and over, list price and over appraised value and all that. Aside from those rare times, the seller always has to be at a disadvantage because they have to identify and they have to come first to the negotiating table.
Absolutely.
Basically, here's what happens. You go to sell your home, this is the negotiating table. You come as a seller, you come sit at the table first all by yourself. It's like lunchtime in like middle school. You sit at the table and you go, I'm for sale. Hoping someone will come sit next to you and say, okay, how much? And so, but you have to also disclaim how much. So you have to sit there and say, not only I'm for sale, but then you have to write a number on a sheet of paper and stick it out in front of you.
Exactly.
So you're at a disadvantage because you have to come to the table first, which is always a disadvantage. If you're negotiating, you want the other side to come to the table first.
Every game you want to go second.
Right.
Yeah.
So why would it make sense as a new industry standard for us to just say, hey, the home's for sale, no price. Like, hey, we want to sell our house. Homes for sale, no price listed. Make us an offer.
So we've experimented with a new idea, which is, as when I have sellers, that we are writing offers to buyers. That the buyer comes through and says, not interested. That what we're doing is we're writing them an offer. Hey, I know you came through and we're listed at X, and I know you weren't interested for these reasons. We're writing you an offer at such and such a price. The idea being that we want to start the negotiations. Mm-hmm. And what price do you want this house? Because market value and value to buyer is far different. You and I could walk into the same house and determine that market value is X, but where we are in our lives is different in the communities that we live. I'm not willing to pay what you're willing to pay in Del Mar because it's too far away, it's too much of a commute, and my whole life is up in Vista. So what we're starting to do is write offers to buyers.
That is interesting as hell. You come in with no voice today and all these great ideas. Who is this guy? What alien is inhabiting
the water? It's whatever they put in the water around here.
So you're writing offers to buyers
yes.
who come through the property and don't make an offer. You're
exactly.
trying to, specific to them, here, for you only.
Exactly. Hey, we liked you.
Yes, we want you.
We want to sell it to a family. And it's important to us that someone like you, who your agent says that you are, so you know how buyers send the picture and all this stuff?
Yeah.
We do the same thing. We do it on the seller side.
I got to tell you, it's genius.
Here's a picture. Here we are. These are the memories that we have in this house. We want to pass this along to you.
Absolutely genius. Thank you for sharing that on this platform. I am wrong. You are right. I take that.
All right, after all these years.
I take it all back. That's great. I do want to get to a comment here quick. Kathy Rofo, what's up, Kathy? And thank you to everyone who's sharing the post. Like, comment, share this. We are live right now on Facebook, and we can get to your comments right here. So Kathy says there's a similar scenario going on in 4S right now. Values of comps are in the 7s, and the one was listed at $499. I think it's horrible to do to buyers, especially those that can't even come close. What a joke. I hate when realtors do this. So, and that's the other side of it is,
right.
And that's what I mean though by, why don't we just say no price? Because clearly if, and to sort of to kind of what Kathy's saying, if they listed this in the 7s, lots of people wouldn't write an offer, wouldn't even look at it,
right.
Maybe, wouldn't go through the property. But by listing at $499, they get a lot more people through the property, they get a lot more people to see it, a lot more people see it as a deal, a lot more people maybe write offers in the mid-6s, like you did.
Right.
And as a seller, you want to see where all the offers are.
Absolutely.
But you have to start at a price, and so many sellers are connected with the idea that the list price is going to somehow dictate the offer prices.
I think that you and I are doing the same thing. I think that what I am doing in thinking about it is I'm trying to remove the listing price. But we can't. The MLS doesn't allow us to do it.
There's no way to do that?
There's no way to do it that I know about. I'm sure there may be, but that's what writing the offers does.
You can't list it at 0, for example.
Well, I mean, you could, but
and then just say in the remarks, hey, we're open, we're taking offers.
I don't even know if you could list it at 0.
You could list it for $1, maybe. There's some integer you could make.
You could list it for $1, absolutely. I don't know. It's a great, and here's what I love about a market like this. First of all, I started in a market like this. I started in 2005 just as things turned, and I think entirely I'm lucky in a lot of different ways in my life, but I've been very lucky with the time that I started, which was a lot of people exiting the industry. And in a market like this where things are changing daily, weekly, you got to be creative.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's what I'm hearing is like the creativity of, I don't know if you can list a property for $1, but we're trying what we can in order to at least get conversations started with, because everybody will buy a house at some price. You today, Carrie over here, would buy every one of my listings at some price. Maybe it's only $600. Mm-hmm. But we want to find out, what's your number, Mr. Buyer? What's your number, Miss Buyer, that came through our house? What do you want it for? Mm-hmm. And then, arguably, they're at the negotiating tables first, mm-hmm. and then we're able to get into a conversation. And then let's see. And maybe it turns into a legitimate offer. No, it's hard to say.
You have to try, though. And when you have someone who's previewed the home, now you have a situation where they probably put a price on it. I mean, shopping for homes, when you look to purchase, you walk in, and a lot of times you are dictating your judgment on the property based on what the listing price is. Let me tell you something really smart that my agents did for me. The first house I bought ever, they were taking me around, they were showing me a bunch of houses at a certain price range. For a year, we went around looking at houses. Now this is, we're going way back now.
You're like a realtor's worst nightmare.
I'm the worst nightmare. So we're going way back now to the point where this is before Zillow and Redfin. And
how old are you? I always thought you were like my age and young. Holy moly! I
just turned 38. So, but I mean, they would come by my office every week and they would bring a stack of papers. Here's the listings that are, we think you might want to look at. Tell us which ones you want to see this weekend. I would look through them, look through the stats, kind of look where they were. There was barely even MapQuest, I think. Like it was.
I make jokes about how old you were.
Early 2000s.
More. Kudos to you for starting so early.
Yes.
For jumping into the market when you're 21. Absolutely.
So, and I was in there. So, what they did though was they said we have one. So we went and they looked at all the ones. They said we have one more we want to show you. And I was like, okay, cool. I didn't think anything of it. Right. By this point, we know each other really, really well. They know what I'm like. They know, what I'm into, what I'm not into. So they take me to this house. I walk in and I'm like, oh my gosh, this one's amazing. Where's this one been?
Yeah, what's the price on this?
But I didn't even think. I thought for sure it had to be in the range that I told them.
Yeah.
Right. And they go, and so I'm like, okay, how much is it? They're like, okay, so here's the thing.
I love realtors. Gotcha.
They're like, so here's the thing. We knew this is the house that you wanted, but we knew that you wouldn't look at it if we told you how much it was. So it's listed for $189, I think, and I was trying to look under $150.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So as a percentage, significantly, 25% above.
Definitely higher. They're like, Derrick, we know you can afford this. You know, like stop being so cheap. Basically, buy the house you want to buy. And so we got to negotiation. We ended up, I got it for $178, something like that.
Yeah.
Appraised for $185. I think it was listed for $189.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It was just awesome, an awesome house. But my point is, when you have that list price in your head going into it, you're dictating everything off of that.
Absolutely.
Your entire judgment is based on that. So you may go in and go, I don't like it. But really, you just didn't like it for that much. To your point, if it were 100,000 less, you'd probably be like, deal, like sold, like this is great, because you're associating everything you're seeing with what they're saying that it's going to cost. Similarly, if we brought a house and it said it's $1, who'll buy it? Every single person in San Diego County would buy that house for $1. I don't care what it is. What the situation. The homeless people too. Scrounge up $100, they would buy it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you start off at $1 with everyone being a buyer. And you go up to $1,000. Okay, now you eliminate the homeless population. Okay, so you start eliminating people every mark that you go higher with the list price, and to the point where some people have listed their home so high that they've literally eliminated everyone. And that's what happens when you get crickets on a listing, is you've gone so high that you have eliminated everyone. But to your point, when people go through a home and then they exit and don't write an offer, it doesn't mean that they didn't like the home.
Right.
It means they didn't like the home in association with the listing price that they walked in knowing that you're looking for.
Absolutely.
So I love your idea here. It's just totally unique, awesome, groundbreaking. You're actually reaching out to those people who toured the property, who didn't write an offer, and say, we're writing an offer to you. How does this sound?
Yeah.
Just to try to start the negotiations. It's absolutely brilliant. Let's see what Kathy said. 250K below comps is not a good idea. Buyers don't forget agents that do this sort of thing. Today's buyers are tomorrow's sellers, and people want to be treated fairly. Totally agree. Yeah, people definitely want to be treated fairly. 100% agree with that. And that's kind of what we're trying to get at here, Kathy. Is like, is there a better way, to actually get people to write offers on properties, or is it simply if we listed every house at $1, would it then just become now it's the norm, and so it wouldn't work anymore? Is it only working for that one because it's the only one that's so underpriced and people are so attached to looking at the list price that they won't write offers unless they feel like it's close?
Before we get to Cole's comment, what I will say is my clients, guaranteed, I haven't asked them yet, but my clients don't want homeless people walking through their house. I mean, there needs to be a value between, if we literally listed it at $1, we would get a lot of interest, but we would get too much interest and not interest of viable buyers. So there's I think
we're
that's
being extreme.
We're being extreme, of course, and I'm making jokes of it, but I think that's the idea of these 499s, whether it's in Forest Ranch or San Marcos, is the idea is let's eliminate most of the crummy buyers, and let's just kind of end up in a range. I agree with Kathy. It's not something that I would love to do. It feels to me like a bait and switch, and it creates some very unique conversations as a buyer's agent. And here's what I can promise you. At $750, to your point, we don't see the San Marcos house. I don't show it.
Don't show it.
We don't write an offer at $637 on a $750 house. And from the seller's standpoint, I believe from the listing agent standpoint, as a listing agent, I will say, I always encourage buyers and buyer's agents, write it. Justify it as best as you can. Send me comps that support it. Don't pull a number out that's just $100,000 below our asking just because. Hopefully we haven't priced it that incorrectly. But write it and we will start the discussion. I always, a mentor of mine said, always have the deal die on the other side. I like that. We're going to counter you. It's your option. We're going to put the ball back in your court. If the deal's going to fall apart, it's going to fall apart on your side. But there's a balance to getting that interest.
Yeah.
I mean.
So, and let's jump in. Let's see what Cole has to say here. Cole says, Kathy, sorry that happened to you, but you have to understand that sellers are trying to get the highest price. I tried going low too when I was selling my house. It creates interest. Yeah, it's true. It's true. But, you know, it's not your price. Is there a way we can negotiate? Yeah, so what Kathy's saying is the agents should call one another.
Yeah.
Like, you know, for example, but it's tough if there's, you know, especially when there are clusters of homes that are all overpriced.
Absolutely. But so to interrupt you, this San Marcos house, they say 25 offers. I believe them.
Say that again. I'm going to put the lie detector test on you.
I do believe that because of where they're priced, maybe they've got 20 offers at $650 and 3 offers at $550 and 2 offers at $500. And maybe it's a tactic where they can, as a listing agent, where they can say, market speaking, listen if you want to listen. It's your decision, it's your money. But 20 people just came through and said $650.
So, are you familiar with the auction
Yes.
strategies that are going on out there?
Yeah, Harcourt's is one that does that. There are other companies that they try to pitch the auction style. I think that, and of course, auctions is its own discussion. A lot of people get confused because they go on to Zillow and they see pre-foreclosure, auction property, these kinds of things. And of course, there's 2 different types of auctions. There's distressed property auctions, foreclosures. After the bank has taken the property back, they sell it on the courthouse steps. I know we've talked about it in the past. It's the weirdest thing in the world. Birds are flying by. You're outside.
Yeah, what is
buses
going
are going by.
Buses are going by. You're selling houses.
And they're like, docket number 12684, property address at 24. And you're like, excuse me, I can't hear you. Can you speak up? And those auctions are cash.
Yeah.
And those auctions are
sold for $400,000 cash.
Exactly. What the other auctions are is there are some companies that are taking on this idea of let's figure out a dollar amount, Mr. Seller, that you want. Let's start way below that, and the market will speak to us quickly. I think that the challenges with those is sometimes, and not always, but sometimes the buyer needs to pay the auction fee. I've gone through one of those where I represented a buyer. It was on a resale property, and the buyer had to pay 5%, basically the commission, in order to participate in this auction at the close of escrow. And the lender got all upset. Anyways, I think that it's not a terrible idea, but the problem is it creates, to Kathy's point, this bait and switch, where inevitably buyers feel like, just tell me what you want. What do you want, and let's negotiate from there. And these days we need new strategies, but it's another reason I don't love range pricing. The ranges, of course, we'll see 750 to 800,000. No buyer looks at the top end of that range. No seller looks at the bottom end of that range. So now if a buyer writes an offer at 730 in their mind, hey, I'm only 3% underneath the asking price, the seller feels like there's 70 grand underneath this. There's no way we're going to be able to put this together. My opinion, tell us what you want and let's negotiate.
I don't understand the ranges either, to be perfectly honest with you. I really don't. I mean, I understand that the idea is to say, hey, it's not just one, there's
cast a wide net.
Here's a wider net and all that, but I really don't.
And to that point, why I personally don't love the auction style, the $499 on a $750 property, is I feel like it's the same thing. But it's hard enough being a buyer. These days, buyers have taken a lot of punches. And interest rate bump, another punch. Limited inventory, another punch. They're getting squeezed because rents are high, all these different things that they're taking, and then they end up in a situation with a seller where they feel like this is some raw deal. You're saying it's $499, but I really need to write it at $650. You're giving me a range, but you don't really want to accept in the bottom half of your range. I feel like the transactions are challenging. Let's try to make them as human as possible. Let's try. That's why we send the letter as the seller, like, hey, we want to let you know we're real. We're real people. And we have loved this home, and our circumstances have changed. And here's why we're moving. And we think that you would be a perfect fit for it. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's put a deal.
Start the conversation.
Let's make a deal.
Let's make a deal. Yes. That would be a great game show. Catch buyers on the way out of showings.
Yeah, like the cellophane. They
Yeah.
get, oh, I'm sorry that you got stuck.
Oh gosh.
We've got an offer for you, 650,000. Spin the wheel of destiny. Oh, we have too much fun.
Yes, this is great. So would you do an auction for a property? If a seller came to you and said, you know what, we want to sell quickly, because essentially what you would do, I think, in your normal mode would be to just say, well, let's just price it like slightly below market. Like if we think it's worth 650, let's price it at 629.
Right.
Let the market know that we're motivated, we're ready to roll. You know, we're not messing around here.
Right.
Because that's essentially what you're doing. If you underprice it a little bit, just slightly below market, that's the best strategy in most cases to sell a home fast. Is, you know, because you're pretty much guaranteed to have interest at that level.
Right.
You know, but what if what if a seller came to you and said, you know, I've heard about this auction strategy.
Well,
Could you even do it, or do you have to have some sort of?
Everything is possible, and that's what I love. That's what I've learned from real estate is everything is negotiable, literally.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the things that I don't like about auction, and these days the market is changing quickly, and what I don't like about auction is just the bait and switch kind of feel to it, where inevitably buyers will feel. Here's the short answer as to why I don't think that I would do it. First of all, every seller that comes to me wants to sell it quickly. I've never had anybody say, hey, I'd love to list the home, but can we sit on the market for 90 days? Like, that would be wonderful. Just have a lot of showings. Disrupt our life a bunch. Please, can you do that for me, Steve? But also, I would say that the biggest challenge, you're throwing me off with your giggling over there.
That's hilarious. Are you sure? No seller's ever said that. Not once.
But the big thing that I would say with auctions, the big challenge is that mainly when it comes down to it, buyers just want a fair transaction. They want to feel like it's legit.
Square.
And because not a lot of people are doing auctions, because it's such a rarity, most people are afraid of it, I would say. Is that a lot of buyers aren't, they're not like, oh, this is just another auction, let me jump in on that. Because of the situations where paying the auction fee and all these different models, I would say buyers, a traditional buyer, my opinion, would be skeptical of an auction, and that potentially the only buyers that you may get are deal seekers, are investors, are, oh, you really need out, speed is of important to you, we'll take $50,000 off the price, but we'll get you out in 7 days kind of stuff.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, that's probably another discussion all by itself, the whole auction model, how it works, how it can be improved upon. But I think what we're getting at here is that buyers, especially in this marketplace, need to, if you like a home, like when you walk into a home, maybe a little bit different mentality. When you walk into the house, maybe even instruct buyers, like for agents out there, instruct your buyers when you go in, tell us what you think this home is worth. What is this home worth to you? Who cares what the list price is? Go in, look at the house. You've been looking at homes.
Yeah.
What do you think it's worth?
And I think that's a great discussion piece to start with. That is also, as agents, what's the market value in your opinion? Just because, and recognizing how comps have changed, being able, exactly as your agent did when you purchased when you were 21, to be able to say, you've explored the market, here's something that I think you should look at. Let's look at it and let's see.
Yeah.
Maybe that $150,000 price point when you were 21 was a firm top and couldn't change, and you couldn't go to a 151. I would still recommend at that time, even with that percentage difference, show it and write them an offer at 150. The worst that happens is they say no.
Yeah.
Is the word, and maybe there's no justification for it. Maybe there are no comps, and you can't lean on condition or anything else in order to get to that 150. And you can say, look, here's who I am, and this is the best that I can do. So I would love to purchase your house, and whatever other concessions I can make, whatever other terms may make the carrot big enough for you to take it, this is what I'm willing to do.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. I wanted to get more to Vista today, but we're kind of running out of time. But I did want to talk about there's a new development out in Vista. So, and the people of Vista kind of don't want everyone to know. It's a secret.
There's a lot of development and discussions, and there's a lot of different things that are going on in North County. There's movers and shakers. There's this new. I'm going to get the name wrong.
There's one development that we've had on Listed Live. It's Panorama Way or something, like Panoramic Estates or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, bro! They're building brand new houses for like 1.4 million in Vista that are at the top of Vista that have ridiculous views.
Yeah, ocean views from Vista.
Ocean views.
Yeah.
Ocean views, and they're called panoramic estates or something like that,
or Panorama Ridge or something.
Panorama Way or something like that, and it is bonkers. These are brand new homes. They're like 4 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms, like 4,000 square feet on 4 acres.
Yeah.
They're just it's insane. So they have that going on. I know there's more of a need for affordable housing in San Diego, but these particular homes that are being developed, they're the new construction, they're absolutely insane. And for what you can get, they say, well, who's looking in Vista for 1.4?
Right.
Like, okay, but just look at what you can get for 1.4.
Absolutely.
Everywhere. You won't get that. You won't get 4 acres. You won't get, ocean views.
Or you'll be far away. And in
really
my
far.
opinion, I think there are many things that I love about Vista. Obviously, I grew up there, and now we're back there, we being my wife and I. I would say what I love about Vista is the proximity, that I can live in the quote-unquote country and at the same time be 15 minutes to real-world stuff. And not that, I'm in Shadow Ridge. I'm in a developed planned community. But I grew up on 3 acres that was then split, and my parents bought the land. And there's those kinds of opportunities.
Yeah. It's
So
interesting times, for sure. Lots of deals out there. Let's make a deal. So big takeaway. Yeah, I agree, Cole. It's Panoramic Estates, I think is what he's saying. Just bonkers. Freaking amazing. Dude, I'm telling you, if you haven't seen some of these properties, look this up.
Yeah.
You will be like, what in the world? I mean, they are taking like world-class developments at the top there.
It's the Banana Belt, Vista.
Yeah.
It's the Banana Belt.
The Banana Belt. Whatever that means. You've been making shit up all day. Some good stuff, though. And hey, how about this for agents out there, or for buyers, frankly, for that matter? You're buying, you're walking through a property. You have the list price in your head that's affecting whether or not you're writing an offer. How about go into the property with an open mind and say, what is this worth, in my opinion?
Yeah.
Maybe write an offer at that amount. You might get the deal. For sellers or listing agents, buyers are coming to the property not writing an offer, you go back to them and write them an offer. That's a genius idea. We're taking that away today.
I just want everyone to know here, he's called me a genius like 3 times.
I think brilliant.
Last time you called me an idiot. 2 times ago I was stupid.
No, you're just wrong. There's a difference. You don't have to be an idiot to be wrong. You were just wrong before. Steve Ploetz, everyone. Century 21 Award. Not going to wallet shame him today because he came up with such a genius idea. Share this video. Make your friends smarter than everyone else. We got more coming at you right now. We'll be right back.